I'm going with JB. Is your name?
Sure.
All
JB.
right, we are live.
All right.
Hello, kiddies and kidettes. Let's make sure this thing is going.
Well,
We
I feel like
are
you should throw a swing a ding ding on the end of that. It's like,
swinging with ding ding. I thought there was a countdown on this thing. At least that's how I'd programmed it. But
just
we
see,
are
I see
using.
we're going in live in.
We are.
We've been live for 23 seconds. It
Oh
says.
yeah. So
Okay.
if you would let me just speak, I will make an introduction. We are live now and on a new service here, StreamYard, and I'm with Lauren Pespiza and Joseph James Bellamy. And I am told that Joe is here to interrogate my wife and I regarding 2021, the year in dumpster fire FBI investigations. I'm going to do a bit of a recap, if you will. And with that, I will hand it over to our interrogator, Mr. Joseph James Bellamy.
I got to say, I'm a little uncomfortable with the term interrogator, given the nature of the last 2 years of you guys' life. But I get the joke. So on that, the dumpster fire. Obviously you guys did start the fire, and what did start it? I know that someone's political aspirations eventually led to the situation that you folks find yourself in today. So I guess what did you fill the dumpster with before it got lit?
All right, Joe, let's go back to the beginning. The best we know, or at least the scientific consensus seems to be that there was a big bang, a cosmic busting of the nut, a so-called money shot to end all money shots, spraying intergalactic space firm across the universe, creating a new universe. As to how this space firm traveled across the totality of reality without reality having been invented yet, this is a paradox. But I think, well, it is paradox, or at least kayfabe, at the core of our story, mine and Lauren here, which we must be willing to embrace. What is kayfabe, you ask?
No, man, I'm a wrestling fan. I know, but go ahead.
According to Wikipedia, in professional wrestling, kayfabe, as a noun, is the portrayal of staged events within the industry as real or true, specifically the portrayal of competition, rivalries, and relationships between participants as being genuine and not staged. In other words, as we all know, professional
U.S.
wrestling
politics.
is an act. It's fake. But to professional wrestlers turned politician like Tanner the Terrible and Donald Trump, it's the embracing of this fakeness, which is in some ways more real than what is presented to us as real. And so why is fakeness not real? And how does this connect to the Big Bang intergalactic space firm and our story within the realm of politics? Well, what is presented on the mainstream news is for the most part bullshit. Imagine that. What they present is a glimpse of truth, but there's a whole iceberg of bullshit lurking under the water, which goes unseen. If you look at a coin on its face, it's a circle, but if you turn it to the side, it's a tall square or a rectangle. So, and which is it? Obviously, both. So, I'm no Neil deGrasse Tyson, but in quantum physics, it's an established fact that measuring a quantum particle, it alters it. And so that's Hunter S. Thompson kind of took this concept in the 1960s and 70s that eventually became part of the story, which is bringing us back to my embrace of kayfabe, embrace of paradox and contradiction. This is part of why we are not straightforward journalists. We go in there and we play both sides of the wrestling ring, if you will. So with that, we crossed over on the Mayflower, and I don't know. Let's bring us up to current time, shall we? Alex Jones. Alex Jones is how 2020 The Dumpster Fire movie opens up. He talks about unifying the narrative. And on this point, Alex Jones is absolutely correct. We must unify the narrative. So, let me see. The FBI.
Okay.
The FBI started from the Pinkertons. Alan Pinkerton was a fugitive from Scotland.
All right, hold on. Wait. As just for the sake of the audience, I'm going to ask for a wind forward on this. Why is the FBI your problem?
Well, as I was saying,
We all know we all know who they are and what they are. They've been around long enough that most of us have peeked at the book of dirty tricks. How have those tricks
want
been
to
applied to you?
interject and say to the audience, why isn't the FBI your problem yet?
Oh no,
you're not working hard enough.
My question is, why is the FBI you guys' problem?
Right. So this is what I was saying. I mean, they were before the FBI. There was the Pinkertons, which inspired the Bureau of Investigation. Then J. Edgar Hoover comes in as an interim head, and then he takes over because he just starts blackmailing everyone's fucking ass. I'm bringing us through history as quick as I can here. Starts blackmailing Kennedy. Also, the mafia is blackmailing Kennedy. Blackmail, dirty tricks, and playing both sides like professional wrestling is what the FBI has done since its inception. So it is no surprise to me when we were wrapping up the shooting of 2020 The Dumpster Fire. In retrospect, I should say in retrospect, because at the time, they played some fun tricks, and me being me, I want to interrogate them back. And that was my first mistake there. But they did some dirty kayfabe right there, and it's the fact that you talk to them at all that actually makes it so that they can take you out of context and then leverage your loved ones. In this case, it's not so much blackmail, but they were trying to use Lauren against me, which then folds in to trying to get me to go against Lauren and get all our friends to go against all our friends. They're knocking on all the doors in the world. And here we find ourselves in a classic COINTELPRO situation. I don't know if Lauren has something more to say about that, but I think where should we go with that?
Well, I mean, I think that ever since threatening levels of protesting started happening in the United States through the course of 2020 and the George Floyd uprising. We've seen grand jury abuse in multiple states. We've seen this sort of behavior from the FBI that, while it was happening throughout its inception, started to ramp up. It ramped up in Minnesota. It ramped up in multiple states. It's been ramped up against the environmentalists forever. It's grand jury abuse.
I was going to say, you sorry with the waving fingers, but you mentioned something there. You said threatening forms of protest, and that brought my mind to immediately some of the enviro radicalism of like the late 70s and early 80s.
Yes.
And what comes to mind here is I'm familiar with you guys' work, and I'm guessing most people who'd be tuning in are, and if they're not, they need to get hip. But I'm familiar with your sort of art protest approach. You guys are a sort of your own performative troupe of counterculture, polita art. But the idea that and when one thinks of most of the protests that we've seen, yes, things got pretty crazy, but none of the initial protest was for that. And when I think about the kind of protests that were happening in previous generations compared to like you guys catching shit for basically being street art, and that is now considered threatening protest, which in a way makes a lot of sense to me when I realize like one of our government's takeaways from things like the wars in the Middle East has been this the hearts and minds concept. Was one of our takeaways from Vietnam and how things went for us there. And it's a little scary that they're now saying like, okay, yeah, people marching in the streets is a problem, but people making art that will get people's attention is a real problem. So let's go after them. Watching you guys go through your trials and tribulations of the last couple of years brings to the fore a very scary idea, which is that not only is Big Brother watching, but he's watching what you're watching. You know what I mean? They're seeing what you're seeing as a consumer of media and are actively going after the people making it.
They're not just doing that. They're actively making fake accounts and friending you on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. This has been something that's been an issue in Boston, and it even went to some evidence against somebody went to the Supreme Court, and it was decided that it was okay. So there literally are sub accounts that it could be friends with any activist who just adds someone that looks familiar from a protest, and this is their modus operandi. They have so many more tools now that we have the internet to monitor stuff, and that is the goal. And as well as things like seeding arguments between leftist organizations, are nitpicking over, things that are going to lead to a bunch of disintegration instead of getting something done. That has always been a COINTELPRO, like, by the book, by the manual thing they do. And I've seen a lot of that lately too. But in terms of what we went through, what we did wasn't even at a protest. Like what they were going after us for wasn't even at a protest. It was a film set. So, like, there was no threat to anybody. This is a fairly normal activity by creative people. So it's, given the amount of information we have now and what we know about the history of the individuals with the badges or paper badges involved, it's certainly a personal vendetta. And the fact they're allowed to run around executing personal vendettas on behalf of the FBI is pretty scary.
So I think also I should just say for anyone who's just joining and not following along what we're doing here, kind of trying to give a bit of a recap on 2021 bleeding into 2022, the year in FBI investigations of 2020, the dumpster fire. I think I'm not sure when the last time was that we gave one of these live stream updates, but for maybe some of the new folks who are chiming in, we should give a little bit of background, because we did want to keep this short and just kind of bang out a couple of these in the evening per night. We do have to get off to this other interview in about 10-15 minutes. But Joe, where would be a good point to start with the general story, do you think?
If I had to encapsulate, it would go like this. You, Rod, ingratiated yourself into the political process that led to the last administration. From there, with those toes through doors, you've actually, for anybody who doesn't know, you have been an eye on the scene for, I'm going to say, the last 2-3 years of what's really popping in this country. You've gone to some pretty extreme lengths to make sure that you and your camera are front and center. And among those things was the election of the aforementioned D. Nozzle Trump, and from interactions with him through that, and then the compilation and release of 2022, the dumpster, 2021, the dumpster fire. Basically, you got on the wrong side by doing the right thing. You got on the wrong side of the wrong people, and then
let's remember the lawsuit. The lawsuit.
Well, that's when I say the right thing. You got assaulted real quick. You got assaulted at a Donald Trump rally, sued some ass, and came out bucks up over it, and that pissed a bunch of people off.
It wasn't just that I sued the Donald Trump campaign. I sued some of his security guys.
Right.
Who have shell companies that are called X Mark II, and was run by.
That doesn't sound like people that shoot people for money. I don't know what the fuck does, but anyway.
And so that was run by some FBI agents.
Like
now,
I said,
I did not run. I did not sue the actual department. I didn't sue the FBI itself, but I did sue FBI agents, and I won against them too. I won against FBI agents. I won against Donald Trump. And I won against the Manchester police. Power doesn't like being called out. Power definitely doesn't like having to write over a check for having overstepped their bounds.
So you didn't just poke the bear. You stabbed one of his eyes out, and he's been chasing you ever since.
More like he cut off his pinky finger at most.
Yeah. That's
they have a lot of money.
They have a lot. Yeah. really, you just walked up and shaved his tail with a buzzer. It's more embarrassing than anything else. But here you are with. Threats of indictment, with threats to incarcerate your wife based on some absolute horseshit that was literally make-believe, literally play acting, threats against others that you know in the activist and protest community, all of this essentially because you pissed off some big bad boys, and they want to make sure you know that they're big bad boys.
Indeed. So I should say that okay. So we're I guess we're trying to get people up to speed here. So
We got 5 minutes.
yeah, we have 5
There's a
minutes.
lot. There's a lot going on.
But hey, this is it. We wanted to go with this chaos, stepping in shit kind of approach, and we have stepped in it. But at least we've gotten this dumpster fire moving, like that scene of the Inferno on planet Mars. We're just shoveling it in there. We don't know what we're doing, but it's okay because behind the scenes we've got it all mapped out. It's part of the chaos that they'll never be able to see around, man. That's it. We're our own psychedelic garden party of Where's Waldo, and if they can't find where we are, man, we don't exist.
So through all of this, so right now, I mean, would you say that you're living in a hypervigilant state because of just the nose up ass up to this point, or has that part of it passed?
Listen, I do not want to say that we're doing the Henry Hill and Goodfellas routine any longer. I'm no longer Joe Pesci, and this is no longer Robert De Niro. And
Wait, I thought I was Joe Pesci.
Well, see, that's the problem right there. It's a weird role-playing game that we do, and you don't need to hear any more than that. But
you don't have to hear about our bedroom habits.
But the thing is, the helicopter
I just want to know which one of you asked the other one. Do you like that, Henry?
I think the helicopter show is over for now, and I don't mean that the Tiny Toisi Proud Boys stuff with Pinochet did nothing wrong, and identify as an attack helicopter, all that kind of bullshit. I'm talking about the that mobster stuff. And by the way, J. Edgar Hoover, that was the other big one, is that J. Edgar Hoover had a very big gambling problem. He would go to the $2 horse track and he would do the photo op saying, "Oh, I just bet the $2." But in reality, he was playing the big numbers, and the mobsters knew that. And then they got wind of his boyfriend and cross-dressing, and then boom, they own the FBI. So not only do they own Kennedy, they owned Hoover and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and it's been a world of blackmail and skull and bones since then. As you were saying about fraternities last night, what did you say? It was sticking your
humiliation breeds
inebriation.
No, indoctrination. No. Indoctrination. Yes, humiliation breeds indoctrination. The idea that to join a fraternity, essentially on some level, you subject to the hazing process. You subject yourself to doing or accepting utter humiliations, and then it becomes a shared secret with you and all of your other fraternity members. And that stretches from, hey man, can you cover me at the door for this bar when you're 23, to being 67-year-old business magnates and politicians deciding the lives and deaths of millions of people.
Keegs. And so, Lauren, tell me who Keegs is and how that connects to what Joseph told me.
Keegs. If anyone here is familiar with the early, or not early, I guess 2010s basement music show scene in Austin, Brighton, and other places around Boston, there was a message board called Lemming Trail where people would post the shows to go to and all kinds of cool community stuff. And there was a man named Keegs, who was basically pretty much outed as Detective Agent Creed, who is our nemesis, right? The fun police, if you will. So it all comes full circle. He started off as some beat cop that was trying to bust underground parties, like, in Alston, Brighton, where maybe somebody was underage drinking or somebody took some mushrooms, and, these college kids, and pretending to be one of them to online to try to bust up their shows. Hey, anyone know where the party is this weekend? Keegs, stop being such a narc. You're such a cop. And now he is a JTTF agent who is deputized by the FBI.
What is a JTTF?
The Joint Terrorism Task Force.
And where does he moonlight?
At the strip club known as Centerfolds.
Imagine that. And is Centerfold run by MAFIA? What kind of people? Is it Tony Soprano? What business is Tony Soprano in?
I can't speak to who runs Centerfolds. I have no beef with that establishment.
Excuse me. Tony Soprano's legitimate business was the Bada Bing nightclub, a gentleman's club right off the Jersey Turnpike.
Right.
If
We
we're
don't have very
talking
much
fiction.
time. So what I do want to say is that I do believe that a lot of this harassment over the past year, while it has not so far led to any indictments, in fact, it seems like the grand jury,
5 grand juries.
5 grand juries may have run its course, and everyone's in the prosecution office is frustrated. Rachel, never mind. There's been signals that like they don't care about us anymore. But at the same time, having an open file on view within the Boston Regional Intelligence Community or Boston Regional Intelligence Committee, as well as being known to the Joint Terrorism Task Force, enables them to continue to have warrants, continue to stalk you, continue to harass you for basically as long as they feel like. And in a way, when I look at it from the long angle, like in a couple of years, nothing bad happens to me, I realize that what they've been doing is setting up a file to continue to watch, to continue to just have an open case, open file. We see them at every protest. We see them just driving by in the car, trying to like hide from us while we hide from them. It's very weird. It's almost like, and this is what having a file within BRIC and having a file within the JTTF does. It enables them to continue to knock on our friends' doors forever, whether there's a case or not.
Wait a minute. Doesn't it do more than that though? Doesn't it tacitly establish artists as terrorists?
Yeah, I mean,
if they had indicted me, yeah.
Sure, I mean, but it goes back to what they did to John Lennon, Frank Zappa, any number of famous musicians, artists out there. Obviously, they went after Stephen Donziger, Barrett Brown, reality winner, Daniel Hale, Matt DeHart, Daniel Baker, Naomi Colvin. The list goes on and on and on and fucking on. Even Harvey Silverglade did an excellent article in the Boston Globe about a year ago. He's a defense attorney who opines on the FBI and believes that it's not enough to reform them; they need to be abolished. Which is why I'm pointing out Tony Soprano. This is why I'm pointing out J. Edgar Hoover and his collaboration with the mob. This is why I'm pointing out that the FBI, since its inception, is crooked. It's kayfabe. It's playing both sides. This country, since its inception, based on slavery and genocide, the Sons of Liberty posing as Native Americans to dump tea in Boston Harbor, a deception, a form of kayfabe in order to kick off the revolution, whether it's the Gulf of Tonkin, whether it's any number of wars that we've entered into. Even World War II, the quote-unquote good war, was put together by a financing deal by the Dulles brothers, who went to the Bank of England and got $80 million to kick off Hitler's little shit show. And then they come in and pretend that the Americans are the good guys. Like even anti-imperialists seem to refer to that war as the good war. And when in reality, the Americans fucking helped to make it happen. And on that note, it's 6:00 and we do have to go. So I think that this is going to be where we're going to have to wrap it up for day number 1 here. And maybe we'll do another half hour tomorrow. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
All right. Well,
sure, maybe. I have Zumba.
Well, then fuck it. We'll go down to Zumba.
Okay.
I wish you a helicopter-free journey to your next endeavor.
All right, kids. Sorry it had to be so short, but we just wanted to get back on the horse. And as long as we're riding those ponies, those unicorns, our whole zombie army is going to be filtering into your mind. And we hope that it does so more so in the days to come. Anything from you, Lauren?
Hay is cheaper than gas these days, so get a free pony.
Last word, Joe?
Last word? Deception.
All right, kids. Let's get the fuck out of here, and maybe we'll dip in again tomorrow.
All right. Hit me up.
No, I know you wanted to do more time, but we have.
No. You got places to go and stuff to do. I got you.
National media interviews call.
Right?
Yeah. Come on, don't jinx it, Lauren.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Goodbye, my friends.